AI never sleeps, and this week has been absolutely insane. We finally have a voice cloner that can do singing. This AI can automatically dub videos into different languages. Plus, it also applies lip syncs so it looks like they're actually speaking the new language. Alibaba drops a state-of-the-art image generator and editor. OpenAI releases a real-time coding agent, which is incredibly fast. We have some new state-of-the-art text-to-speech models. Google low-key drops a new model that crushes everything. We have a new OpenClaw alternative that's even better. It requires 99% less memory than OpenClaw, and it's 400 times faster. NVIDIA drops a really cool sequential image model. We also have some ridiculous humanoid robot demos and a lot more, so let's jump right in. First up, this AI is really cool. It's called SoulX Singer, and this can generate singing voices just from a few seconds of someone's voice. So this is quite flexible. You can input a reference voice plus some reference singing audio, and it would basically make them sing out the song. Here's an example. So they've actually released this Hugging Face link already. We can upload this reference voice. Let me just play this for you first.
Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary, over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore.
Alright, so a pretty deep male voice, and then let's get him to sing out this song. So let me play you the reference audio first.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Alright, so that's just a regular birthday song. After plugging it through SoulX Singer, here's what we get.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Alright, so it basically makes our reference voice sing out the reference song. Really cool. Or here's another example. Let's input Obama's voice. Here's what it sounds like.
Good afternoon, everybody. And on behalf of the American people, I want to welcome President Preval, the First Lady, and their delegation to the United States.
Alright, so that's Obama's voice. Let's get him to sing out this song. Hopefully this does not get copyrighted by YouTube when I upload it, but if it does, this section might be muted.
Everybody loves my baby, but my baby don't love nobody but me. Nobody but me.
Alright, and then here's our result.
Everybody loves my baby, but my baby doesn't love nobody but me. Nobody but me.
Alright, so that's how you can use SoulX Singer to get anyone's voice to sing anything. Now this is super flexible. It has a ton of other features. So for example, if this is your original lyrics, you can basically sing this out first so it knows the melody of the song. Let's listen to this original clip first.
Come on, who says you're not perfect? Who says you're not worth it?
Alright, and then afterwards, you can input another prompt with another person's voice. For example,
they're crashing down, only to build another.
Alright, so afterwards, you can basically get this male voice to sing this out. And here's what we get.
Come on, who says you're not perfect? Who says you're not worth it?
Next, here's a metal example, so let me play the reference audio first.
I am what's wrong with this society.
Alright, so that's a metal example. Let's hear how this voice sings out the original song.
Come on, who says you're not perfect? Who says you're not worth it?
Very nice. And finally, we also have this rap example. So let's hear the reference first.
Serving cat food in a glass on a coaster. Tipping Michael Jackson with a Barbie. Now this is the story of how I wrecks the party.
Here is the rapper's voice singing out the song.
Come on, who says you're not perfect? Who says you're not worth it?
You can just plug in any voice and then also hum your own melody and then get that voice to sing that song out. For example, here, first we enter some lyrics and then you can hum out the melody first. So here's what the melody sounds like. Alright, and then here's a reference audio of some voice singing a song. It can be just any random song.
可你眼中深情的对白如烟花短暂新鲜感终归不是爱
And then afterwards, we can get this voice to sing these lyrics with this melody. Here's what it sounds like.
我们总把人生想得太坏
So if you want to do like cover songs, or if you want to get a voice to sing out a song that you composed, this is a really powerful tool for you to use. The awesome thing is they've released everything already. So if you click on this GitHub repo, it contains all the instructions on how to download and run this locally on your computer. And you know, this is actually really small. So it's under 3 gigabytes in size, meaning you can run this on low-end GPUs or even just a CPU. Anyways, all the links are up here, so if you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this main page in the description below. Next up, this AI is also super useful. It's called Just Dub It, and just like the name implies, this can take a video and dub it into another language while also applying lip sync to the video so it looks like they're actually speaking out the new language. Here's an example. So first of all, here is the original video in English.
I took a shower washing every body part with actual soap, including all my major crevices.
So that's English. Next, let's translate this into French.
Une super douche lavant chaque partie du corps avec du vrai savon, y compris toutes les crevasses principales.
As you can see, not only is it able to dub this voice into French, but it's also able to apply lip sync so it looks like he's actually speaking French. Or here's a Portuguese example.
Super banho lavando cada parte do corpo com sabão de verdade, incluindo todas as fendas principais.
And then here's a German example.
Eine super Dusche, die jeden Körperteil mit echter Seife wäscht, einschließlich aller wichtigen Spalten.
Or here are some other examples for your reference.
Last but not least, my favorite. Por último, pero no menos importante, mi favorito. Enfin, et surtout, mon préféré. 最后但同样重要的是，我最喜欢。
Well, we've been official partners for 1 week. Happy anniversary. Bueno, somos socios oficiales desde hace una semana. La tasa de uniferencia.
Now, the awesome thing is they've released this already. So the GitHub link is actually over here on the bottom right. And if you click into it and you scroll down a bit, here it contains the instructions on not only how to use it, but also how to train it yourself. So if we click on this, here are all the instructions on how to download and run this locally on your computer. Notice that this uses LTX2, which is the best open source video generator with audio natively built in. The nice thing about LTX2 is it's quite lightweight and it generates videos really fast. So you can run this on most consumer GPUs or even just a CPU if you have enough RAM. Anyways, if you're interested in reading further or checking out more demos, I'll link to this main page in the description below. Also this week, the Qwen team continues to release some awesome stuff. So they just dropped Qwen Image 2. This is their latest and most performant image model to date. As you can see from these benchmarks, Qwen Image 2 far outperforms the last version of Qwen Image as well as Z Image Turbo, which is all the way down here. Same with this image editing leaderboard. It's ranked second place, almost as good as Nano Banana Pro. Now, Qwen Image 2 is especially good at understanding and following my prompt and generating text and a ton of different elements all in one image. So this image is actually a generation of Qwen Image 2. As you can see, it's able to get all the text correct plus all the images that were specified in the prompt, plus generate this nice looking diagram. Or here's another crazier example where you can specify a ton of stuff in your prompt, including the exact text and data to include, but it's able to generate everything very well. The prompt basically specifies that this slide should consist of 3 columns. The first column should be this, the middle column should contain a flowchart with these exact nodes, and then the last column should contain this 2x3 table with these metrics. And as you can see, it's able to generate everything very accurately. Or here's another really complex example with a ton of text and images and elements. This is like an itinerary poster, but as you can see, it's able to generate this very well. Alright, so here's an English example which contains some specs about Qwen Image 2. So here, first of all, again, this is super complex. This has a ton of text, which is all correct. Plus, they even added a teaser for Qwen 3.5 down here. Plus, it contains the Great Wall of China in the background. There's just so many elements jam-packed into this one prompt, but it's able to generate everything very well. So here are the specs of Qwen Image 2. It's great for outputting complex topography, as I showed you. This can output 2K resolution images with microscopic detail on skin pores, fabric weave, architectural textures, etc. This is a unified Omni model, so not only can it generate images, but it can also edit images in the same model, just like Nano Banana. And this is actually really tiny. This is only 7 billion parameters, so this can generate 2K images in seconds. You can also get this to generate movie posters, so here's an example of that. Or here's an example of a calendar, and you can even get it to consistently generate comic pages with multiple panels like this. And of course, this can also do photorealistic images. So here we have a horse riding a man. It's great that the Qwen team knows exactly the type of writing that we want. Here's another example of a super realistic image. I mean, it's really hard to tell that this was AI generated. It's also great at handling different expressions and poses like this. Now, they haven't open sourced this yet, but you can try this out right now on Qwen Chat. So simply click on this Create Image feature here, and here's where you can select the aspect ratio and enter your prompt. Anyways, if you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this main page in the description below. Also this week we have a new top open source model called GLM-5. This is incredibly good at reasoning, coding, and agentic performance. For some of these benchmarks, it even beats the top closed models out there like Claude, Gemini, and GPT. In particular, it's really good at Humanity's Last Exam, which tests an AI model's ability to answer questions from some really obscure scientific domains. And also BrowseComp, which tests how good an AI is at browsing the web. Now, I already did a full review video on GLM-5, so I'm not going to repeat too much here, but in addition to GLM-5, we have yet another top model called Minimax M2.5. So here are some of their performance benchmarks. The latest M2.5 is the red bar on the far left, and as you can see, for these benchmarks, it's pretty much on par with the leading models out there, including Opus 4.6, Gemini 3 Pro, and GPT 5.2. It's especially impressive in terms of SWE-bench verified and multi-SWE-bench, which tests how good an AI is at agentic coding. Here they say that M2.5 is state-of-the-art in coding, agentic tool use, and search, office work, and a range of other economically viable tasks. And this is insanely cheap. Here they say M2.5 is the first frontier model where users don't need to worry about cost. It costs just $1 to run the model continuously for an hour at a rate of 100 tokens per second. So this is like way cheaper and more efficient than Opus 4.6. And if you're working with coding languages other than Python, M2.5 is even better than Opus in some cases. So it was trained on over 10 languages across more than 200,000 real-world environments. Here's the rate of progress comparing Minimax with the top closed models out there. You can see that last week Anthropic releases Opus 4.6, which ranks all the way over here for this SWE-bench verified benchmark. But just a week after that, Minimax 2.5 basically released a model which is as good as Opus 4.6. That is some pretty insane progress. This is extremely good in professional or office work. This supports various file types like Word, PowerPoint, and Excel. For example, I can just upload a zip file of Starbucks financial data and then ask it to create a comprehensive financial analysis of this in Excel. And then here I can specify the exact information I want. And afterwards, here's what I get. Here's a core financial summary. Here's the revenue by segment, comp sales, profitability metrics, etc., etc. So it was able to create this entire spreadsheet with multiple tabs and charts in just one prompt from me just uploading some data. Or here's another example. I can just input a zip file of 100 different invoices in PDF format and then get it to organize everything in an Excel spreadsheet. And here's what I got from that. Now it's like insanely easy for you to just work with and manipulate data with this agent. Or this can also create PowerPoint presentations for you natively. So let's get it to create a 15-slide presentation on leading coffee chain brand, financial report, etc., etc. And here is the presentation. You can see everything is very nicely formatted and designed. The branding is also consistent across this entire presentation. This is just so easy. Like before, I would have to spend at least hours to create a PowerPoint presentation, but with this agent, I can do this in like seconds. Or here's another example of how you can get it to edit or create documents. So I need to plan next year's campus recruitment for my startup, help me list the top 20 universities strongest in CS and AI in the States, then research each one's career fair situation. After the research is done, compile it into a Word document for me. And here is my document. You can see, indeed, it has given me an overview of the top 20 CS or AI universities, plus the career fair details of each one. So this is great for data scraping, lead scraping, etc. It's also great at front-end design. So here, let's get it to design and code a fully responsive landing page for a luxury, high-fidelity headphone brand. And here is the page. Look how beautiful and responsive this is. With this agent ability, it's not just a regular chat, but it can autonomously carry out multi-step workflows for you. So instead of just outputting a bare bones website, it actually plans everything out, including the copy, the images, the design, etc., and then autonomously does the entire thing for you. Anyways, this is an incredibly powerful tool that is among the top models out there. Best of all, you can try for free right now using this Minimax agent interface. Or you can also subscribe to their coding plan and then link this to Claude Code or OpenClaw. All the links are up here, so if you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this main page in the description below. Also this week, the beast Google continues to release some insane stuff. So this week, they've released Gemini 3 DeepThink. Think of this as like a fine-tune of Gemini, but it's trained to do especially well in advanced science and research. Here's how ridiculous this is. Gemini 3 DeepThink crushes all the top models across all these benchmarks. For Arc AGI 2, this is incredibly impressive, and I don't think this bar chart does it justice, so I'm going to show you this other graph of all the AI models out there on this Arc AGI 2 leaderboard, and as you can see, Gemini 3 DeepThink is all the way over here, far outperforming all the other models. Now, what exactly is this Arc AGI 2 benchmark? Well, on the surface, this tests an AI model's ability to solve visual puzzles. For example, here is a sample question. It's given a question and answer pair like this, and then it's given a new question and it needs to apply the same logic. Now, for a human, this is pretty easy to solve. You basically need to color these gray blobs based on how many holes it has. Now, this is actually very hard for an AI model because this is applying a new pattern that it has never learned before. And that's why you can see that most of these models perform pretty badly. That's because, technically speaking, after an AI finishes training, its weights and parameters are fixed. It can't learn new information. So if you try to feed it a new pattern like this, it's really hard for an AI to actually absorb and learn this new information and apply it. But as you can see, for Gemini 3 DeepThink, it actually has this emergent ability. It's a lot better at actually learning new things, and that's what makes it super powerful. Now, in addition to this Arc AGI 2 benchmark, we also have Humanities Last Exam, where again it performs incredibly well. If you're not familiar with Humanities Last Exam, this tests an AI model's knowledge on some really obscure stuff. So for example, here are some questions from this benchmark. The AI needs to provide a translation for this Roman inscription, plus it also needs to know how many paired tendons are supported by a specific bone in hummingbirds. These are not questions that most people know the answer to, but as you can see, Gemini 3 DeepThink far outperforms the other models. And then for multimodal understanding and reasoning, this is not as impressive, but for code forces, this is like competitive coding, Gemini 3 DeepThink leads by a huge margin. Specifically, it got a staggering ELO score of 3,455 on code forces, and if you look at this distribution of human scores, Gemini 3 DeepThink is all the way over here. So it's as good as the top 10 humans in the world. This is really impressive. It also achieved a gold medal on the International Math Olympiad in 2025. But again, we already have models that achieved gold medal status before, so this is kind of a saturated benchmark already. But keep in mind that these are some of the hardest math questions in the world. Now, before you get too excited, this is not available to everyone. It's only available to Google AI Ultra subscribers, which is like over $200 a month, plus the Gemini API via our early access program. But if you are like working in science or engineering or whatever, you can also click on this link to apply to their early access program. Anyways, if you are interested in reading further, I'll link to this main announcement page in the description below. Next up, this AI is also super useful. It's called FreeFuse, and before I explain this, you kind of need to know what a LoRa is. So a LoRa is basically a fine tune that can generate a specific character or art style or effect or camera angle or whatever. For example, this LoRa can generate a flat color style like this, or this one can generate amateur photography style, this one can generate manga style, and this one can generate faceless gods. Now, here's the problem. If you add multiple LoRas into your generation, for example, if we add like these 3 LoRas, traditionally, these LoRas would fight or conflict with each other. This would cause a ton of errors or glitches or distortion like this. And that's because when you use multiple LoRas, one character's face might bleed into another, some styles might overwrite other styles, the model gets confused about what belongs where. And previously, there isn't really a nice solution to this. But for FreeFuse, this is a training-free framework that solves this problem. And so with FreeFuse, even if you input a ton of LoRas like different characters at the top here, plus different props on this left column, you can add like many of these at once into your image, and you won't get any of these distortions or messed up faces or any other error. All of these LoRas don't conflict with each other, and the characters look exactly like intended. Or here's another example on STXL. You can see even if you mix multiple characters in the same generations, the details are great. We no longer get any of those distortions or errors anymore. All these characters look great and very consistent. Here's a before and after example. So if you don't add FreeFuse, then you can see it mixes up their faces. This looks absolutely horrible, but with FreeFuse, it retains the look of Harry Potter plus this other girl. And then here's an example of Z Image. Again, without FreeFuse, then the characters' faces look really messed up, but with FreeFuse, it's able to preserve the consistency a lot better. If you're interested in the technical details, FreeFuse uses a technique called adaptive token level routing, which basically dynamically matches the objects to their corresponding regions in the image, and this makes sure that the LoRas don't overlap or conflict with each other. The awesome thing is this has been released already, so this already supports Comfy UI, and it also supports Z Image Turbo in Comfy UI. They're also planning to release Flux 2 client support in the future. All the installation instructions are on this page. If you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this main page in the description below. Now, in addition to GLM and Minimax, we have yet another open source model, which is even crazier. It's called Nanbeige 4.13b, and this is an absolute beast for its size. This one is super tiny. It's only 3 billion parameters, so you can actually run this on most consumer-grade devices. But here's the crazy thing. Here are its performance benchmarks against Qwen 3 models, which are like 10 times larger, but as you can see, it's even more performant. It's particularly good in terms of like deep search, coding, math, tool use, graduate level science questions, and also this one is particularly impressive. So this is, again, Humanity's Last Exam, which tests an AI on these really obscure scientific questions, but as you can see, even without tool use, in other words, without web search or using any tools to look for data, this scores 12.6 on this benchmark, which is actually incredibly impressive for just a tiny 3 billion model. This means it has an incredible amount of world knowledge jam-packed into this one model. Not only that, but it's also great at agentic tasks. So this can do more than 500 rounds of tool invocations. In other words, you can get this to like work autonomously by itself for over 500 rounds to solve a particular task. Again, really impressive for just a 3 billion parameter model. Now, the awesome thing is this has been released already. And if you click on files and versions, this is quite tiny. This is less than 8 gigabytes in size, so you can fit this comfortably in most GPUs or Macs. And then here it contains all the instructions on how to download and run this locally on your computer. Anyways, if you are interested in reading further, I'll link to this main page in the description below. If you want to generate AI music, one of the best platforms to use is definitely Mureka, the sponsor of this video. Let's listen to an example. Can you tell if this is real or made with AI?
Lights out, I'm the spark in the dark. Watch it blow. Hey, hands up. We run the room. Hands up. We run the room. Oh. Hey, hey, hey. Stepping camera loves me. I don't need permission. I turn maybe into done. That's my definition. No crown on my
Now, Mureka V8 is extremely good at generating vocals. It sounds extremely dynamic, expressive, and very realistic. Here's an example.
Walking slow, cameras blink. Gloss on my lips, gasoline. Every step make the marble shake. Whispers follow, but we don't break. Silk and steel in a single breath. Smile sharp like a sudden threat. We talk loud when the lights
Instead of looping the same stuff over and over, Mureka V8 uses its music chain of thought engine to think like a human songwriter, building intros, verses, choruses, and climaxes that feel alive and deliberate. In fact, here are some performance benchmarks for your reference. Note that it's even better than Suno V5. Plus, they have an AI audio editor which gives you professional mixing and mastering tools. You can micro-edit sections of your song, and my favorite part, you can even export individual stems for your own post-production. And if you're having writer's block, they have a massive collection of genre templates like EDM, R&B, Latin, and blues to kickstart your creative process. This is one of the best music platforms out there, so definitely give Mureka V8 a try. The link will be in the description below. In humanoid robot news, we have a ton of really cool demos this week. First of all, we have this new demo from Westlake Robotics of their humanoid robot called Titan 01. This is quite a new robot that hasn't really been featured before, but here they're showing a demo of how you can teleoperate this robot remotely from anywhere. So, for example, the dude can't go home and be with his family for Chinese New Year, so instead he just puts on this VR headset plus these gloves and he can teleoperate this robot in real time and interact with his daughter. It's kind of a sad video, like this dude needs to keep working during Chinese New Year, but as you can see, the teleoperation technology of this robot is very good. You can operate this remotely to walk around and pick stuff up and carry stuff. It's quite flexible. And I think this technology would be especially useful for like dangerous work such as construction or mining, etc., where you might not want to risk a human life, so what you would do instead is just train humans to teleoperate these robots in these dangerous environments. Now, in addition to that Titan 01 humanoid robot, we have another demo. This time it's from Robotera's L7 humanoid robot. This is again not a very popular robot. It hasn't gotten as much attention as like Unitree or Optimus, but as you can see, this is very, very flexible. Here they're showing a demo of it doing a full-on sword dance. The robot can maintain balance while pulling off these really aggressive spins and high-speed martial arts moves all autonomously. This is a great stress test for its whole body coordination, and it pulls it off very well. So, Unitree isn't the only robot company that can now do spin kicks and kung fu. A ton of other Chinese robotic companies are also catching up. Now, in addition to that Robotera L7, we also have a new demo from this new AGIBot. This is their upcoming humanoid robot, and here you can see it's incredibly capable at doing these extreme kung fu moves, including high kicks, deep lunges, spinning maneuvers. I mean, it's just super flexible. And the robot isn't just mimicking poses, it's actually executing very explosive, high-torque movements that require very precise and simultaneous balance and power. You can think of this as like a stress test for the robot's actuators, or basically its motors. To throw a kick without falling, the robot must calculate its center of mass in real time, and this is very hard to execute. We still haven't been able to see the Figure or Optimus do spin kicks like this. Now, besides those very impressive, flashy kung fu videos, here's a more humble demonstration from Unitree Robotics. So here they've gotten the G1 robot to actually do stuff in a factory. You can see it's doing these really intricate tasks such as picking up small components and assembling them together. Unlike the previous showy videos, this one is all about dexterity. The robot needs to use fine motor control in their hands to manipulate these small objects. This is also really tricky because the robot needs to understand the orientation and apply exactly the right amount of pressure to snap things into place without breaking it. So this is a very impressive demonstration of its precision and dexterity. Now, instead of just kung fu, here's another demo by yet another robot called the Tiangong 3.0, and it's able to pull off a really impressive breakdancing move like this. I haven't even seen the Unitree G1 be able to do this. The agility and balance of this is just insane. Also this week, ByteDance unleashes by far the best AI video generator out there, Seedance 2.0. This can do some insane stuff like generating coherent fight scenes like this. And this is so good at following my prompt. Like, I can specify a sequence of different actions in my prompts, including different camera movements, different dialogues, different expressions, etc. And it's able to handle this so well. Like, I don't even need to prompt it twice. It just got everything perfectly in one shot. Now, I already did a full review video on Seedance 2.0, so I'm not going to repeat too much here. See this video if you haven't already to be mind blown. But in addition to Seedance 2.0, actually ByteDance also teased another super cool video generator called Alive. And this can also generate videos with audio. So here's how it works. This is a unified audio and video generator. So for its inputs, this can take in text or reference images or reference audio to use, all within a single framework. Here are some examples.
Hey Lumi, set evening mode.
Evening mode activated. Enjoy your evening.
You guys remember last road trip?
Of course.
The lake was awesome.
每日坚服一次，不可间断。
谢谢医生。
这个提议很有趣，
确实很有潜力。
我也同意。
That was a killer workout.
I am totally exhausted.
Good job today, team.
Look at this part. It's fascinating.
Oh yeah, that is really great.
Alright, so those were some text-to-video examples. You can see the characters are very expressive and the lip sync is really good. Now, in addition to text-to-video, you can also upload some reference images of characters or objects which you want to insert into your video. So here are some examples.
The weight of centuries held within these forgotten words. Truly astonishing.
Exactly why you called, and no, I haven't changed my mind about the deal. It's too risky for us right now.
Now, here's the win rate between this new Alive model versus other video models with audio such as LTX2, Sora, and also VO 3.1. As you can see, for motion quality, visual aesthetic, visual prompt following, plus audio quality, on average, Alive wins more often than the other models. Now, at the top of the page, they have released a GitHub repo, but currently there's no code or anything yet. I'm quite early to this, but hopefully they will open source this. Plus here it says they have an online demo coming soon. Anyways, if you're interested in reading further or checking out more demos, I'll link to this main page in the description below. Alright, next up we have a new really cool AI called PicoClaw. Now, you might have heard of OpenClaw or ClawBot, and this is basically an open source framework that lets you run an AI 24/7 on a server or on your computer. And you can talk to it via Telegram or WhatsApp and get it to do things. If you're not familiar with OpenClaw, I already did a full tutorial a few weeks ago when it first came out, so see this video to learn more. Now, OpenClaw was quite bulky, it was a pain to install, but this week we have a serious contender. So this guy developed PicoClaw, which is an ultra-efficient version of OpenClaw. And get this, this can even run on really cheap hardware, plus it only requires 10 megabytes of memory to run, and it only takes a second to boot up. That's pretty crazy. Here it says this is 99% less memory than OpenClaw and 98% cheaper than a Mac Mini. This is also lightning fast. It has a 400 times faster startup time, and it boots in just 1 second. And this basically works the same as OpenClaw. You can also link your AI to WhatsApp or Telegram and then get it to do stuff. Now, on this page, it contains all the instructions on how to download and run PicoClaw on your device or server. And here it contains instructions on how to link this to Telegram or other chat apps. Anyways, this thing is blowing up. It has already gotten like almost 6,000 stars within a few days. If you're interested in a much cheaper and efficient alternative to OpenClaw, then definitely check this out. I'll link to this main page in the description below. Also this week, OpenAI releases an ultra-fast real-time coding agent called GPT 5.3 Codex Spark. So this is essentially a coding agent, but optimized for speed. Here's a comparison with the regular Codex versus this new Codex Spark. And as you can see, if you get both of them to build a snake game, you can see that Codex Spark executes this way faster. It's pretty much done in just a few seconds. Whereas for the regular Codex, it's still thinking after all this time. Or here's another example. Here we're getting it to create a plan for a landing page, and as you can see, Codex Spark can execute this in like 2 seconds. Here's another example where we get it to translate a file into multiple languages, and again, Codex Spark is just way faster. Now, of course, with speed, you do need to sacrifice some quality, so it's not as accurate or performant as the regular 5.3 codex, but it's way faster. This is designed to feel like real time, generating over 1,000 tokens per second. Now, here they say Codex Spark has a context window of 128k tokens, and currently it's text only, so you can't upload reference images or anything like that. Next, if you're wondering how to use it, they're currently rolling this out as a research preview for ChatGPT Pro users in the latest Codex app, CLI, as well as the VS Code extension. Anyways, if you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this main announcement page in the description below. Also this week, we have a new state-of-the-art image generator and editor. It's called DeepGen 1.0, and it even beats some of the top models out there. First of all, here are some examples of its text-to-image capabilities. You can see it's pretty good. It can generate different types of art styles plus text. And then here are some examples of its text rendering capabilities. Again, it's pretty good. And then here are some other examples for your reference. Now, in addition to just generating images, this can also edit images. You can add stuff to an image, you can change the text of an existing image, or you can replace objects or turn an image into anime style. Or here's another cool example where you can get it to solve a maze like this. Or you can get it to generate a different view of the scene, or get it to predict what would happen afterwards. Now, here are some performance benchmarks for your reference. So apparently in terms of text-to-image generation, DeepGen is on par with the top open source models out there, including Z-Image Turbo as well as Qwen Image Edit. And if you look at this chart here, which compares the performance of DeepGen's image editing abilities as well as image generation abilities, apparently it even beats Nano Banana. I think this is just the first version, as well as Qwen Image and Seedream. The awesome thing is they've released this already, so if you click on this GitHub repo and you scroll down a bit, here it contains all the instructions on how to use it. However, notice that if I click on this DeepGen folder on Hugging Face, the total size of everything is 72 gigabytes, so it's not going to be able to fit within most consumer devices. Anyways, if you are interested in reading further, I'll link to this main page in the description below. Also this week, we have a new state-of-the-art text-to-speech generator. It's called Moss, and this is really good. So first of all, here's a demo.
Hello, 有人在吗?
Das Zimmer ist recht ruhig.
Je voudrais dire quelque chose.
Look how long we've been chatting. I still haven't said who I am.
Okay, I'm Simo, and what you just heard wasn't a human voice. It was me powered by the Moss text-to-speech family, a real production-level speech model.
Now, like most text-to-speech generators, you can also input just a few seconds of someone's voice, and it's really good at cloning their voice. So for example, here's a clone of David Attenborough.
The cubs are just 12 weeks old when winter arrives. The season is long, and the weather is only going to get worse. Temperatures will soon plummet to 40 degrees below zero. For these fragile lives, the cold is a relentless enemy that never sleeps. Their mother is their only shield.
And then here's a clone of Elon Musk.
You know, why are we here? What's the origin of the universe? What is the end? What are the questions that we don't even know to ask?
Maybe we're here because the universe wanted to know itself, and then maybe it ends when it forgets.
All right, so here's a comparison between all the top closed and open source text-to-speech generators out there. Now, for this first column, the lower the score, the better. This is basically the error rate, and as you can see, MioTTS is quite low among the models. And then for similarity score, this is like how good it is at cloning someone's voice. You can see it's incredibly good. It even beats Qwen 3 TTS. Plus, note that it supports all these different languages. The awesome thing is they've released this already. So if you click on this GitHub repo, here it contains all the instructions on how to download and run this on your computer. And note that they've released a ton of different models. Now, the main one is just MioTTS. This is great for voice cloning. So you can upload a few seconds of someone's voice and it would clone that voice. And you can get them to say anything you want with a transcript. And then we also have this MioTTS-D model, and this is good for expressive multi-speaker and ultra-long dialogues. So for example, if you want to generate a podcast with 2 hosts, or if you want to generate an audiobook, this is the best one to use. And then we also have this voice generator where you can design your own synthetic voice from scratch. They also have this real-time model, which, as the name implies, you can use this TTS in real time. It has ultra-low latency. And then we also have this model, which is great for creating sound effects. The awesome thing is, all these models are released already, plus the size is actually quite small. So if you look at this main 8 billion parameter model, this is around 17 gigabytes in size, and then this smaller 1.7 billion parameter model is only 6 gigabytes in size, so you can fit this comfortably with most GPUs. Anyways, all the links are up here, so if you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this main page in the description below. In addition, we also have another TTS called MioTTS, and this is incredibly lightweight and fast, and this is optimized to generate high quality speech in English and Japanese only. So it doesn't support as many languages as the previous TTS, but this is also really good. Here are some examples. So first of all, we can upload a reference voice first. It just needs a few seconds, so here is the reference voice.
Hello, my name is John. I'm living in Japan now. Nice to meet you. What's your name?
Alright, and then let's get John to read this transcript out. Here's what it sounds like.
The old library was silent, save for the gentle ticking of a clock somewhere in the shadows. As I ran my fingers along the dusty spines of the books.
Not bad. And then here's another English example. First of all, here is the reference voice.
Hello, my name is Anna. I'm living in Japan now. Nice to meet you.
And then let's get her to read this out.
Hey, I haven't seen you in ages. Do you want to grab some coffee later? I've got so much to tell you.
And as you can hear, it's a lot more expressive and less robotic than other text-to-speech generators. This sounds very natural. And then here's a quick Japanese example, so here's the reference voice.
君は一体何者だ? ここは君のような少女が来ていい場所ではない. 今すぐ去りたまえ.
And then let's get this voice to read this transcript out.
その森には古い言い伝えがありました。月が最も高く昇る夜、静かに耳を澄ませば風の歌声が聞こえるというのです。私は半信半疑でしたが、その夜、確かに誰かが私を呼ぶ声を聞いたのです。
So those are some quick examples. The awesome thing is they've released everything already, so on this GitHub repo, it contains all the instructions on how to download and run this locally on your computer. The models are super tiny, so this smallest one is only 0.1 billion parameters, so the total size of this is only 244 megabytes. It's not even a gigabyte in size, so you can easily run this on just a CPU or just a normal computer. Anyways, if you want to use text-to-speech, especially for English and Japanese, this is a really good and lightweight option for you to use. If you're interested, I'll link to this page in the description below. Also this week, NVIDIA releases a very useful sequential image model called DuoGen. Here they call it a multimodal model designed to automatically switch between modalities to generate coherent interleaved image and text sequences. So here's an example of that in action. You can get it to make a step-by-step tutorial on how to cook a certain dish, and it would actually plan this out sequentially. It would give you the text description plus the corresponding image, all from just one prompt. Or, for example, you can ask it to teach you how to turn a wooden ladder into a blanket rack. And again, it would generate this sequential tutorial with a text description and a corresponding image. Or you can also get it to do a tutorial on how to steam fish or cook fried rice or a ton of other tutorials. It's basically using its built-in image model to generate images sequentially so that it maintains the same consistency and tone across all the images in your sequence. Now that's its main capability, but in addition to creating these step-by-step tutorials, you can also just use it as a standard image editor. For example, you can get it to edit images just like Nano Banana. You can swap their clothing, change the background, change their expressions, etc. I'd say the quality of this isn't as good as Nano Banana Pro, so I wouldn't use this by itself to just edit images, but its tutorial creation feature where it generates multiple images sequentially, I think that is a really useful feature. And because of this sequential image generation feature, you can also use it to generate sequential images for robots so that it can kind of predict the next step that would happen. This is very useful for like generating training images for robots on how to manipulate objects. Now, currently they've only released a technical paper on this. I'm not sure if they will open source this or not. But if you're interested in reading further or checking out more demos, I'll link to this main page in the description below. Also this week, we have a really useful audio model called UniAudio 2.0. This is what they call a unified audio language model, and this can do so many things. First of all, this can just do regular text-to-speech. So for example, you can select a voice and get it to read out a certain transcript. Here's an example of that.
He began a confused complaint against the wizard who had vanished behind the curtain on the left.
Or here's another example.
Give not so earnest a mind to these mummeries, child.
But that's just easy stuff. In addition to text-to-speech, this can also generate sound effects. So for example, you can prompt it to generate a large crowd, cheers and applauds, and here's what we get. Now, in addition to sound effects, this can also do text to music. Now, it's not great at doing this. The lyrics are just gibberish, but here are some examples. First of all, here's an energetic Punjabi folk song. Or here is an example of an Arabic dance song. Again, the quality is not great. You're not going to use this to actually generate songs, but it's cool how it has all these abilities built into just one unified audio model. Now, of course, you can also input lyrics and get it to generate a song with these lyrics. So here are some examples.
Long time ago in Bethlehem, so the Holy Bible says. One day long sun, it's over now.
Another cool feature is you can input a reference dialogue and edit that into another style. For example, here's our reference.
I dismiss that.
And then let's turn this into whisper style.
I dismiss that.
Pretty cool. Next, let's edit this reference audio and turn it into shouting style. So here's the reference audio.
Oh, yes, sir.
And here's the result.
Oh, yes, sir.
It's not really shouting, so, the quality of this model isn't great, but it's really cool that it has all these features built in. The awesome thing is they've released everything already. So if you click on this GitHub repo and you scroll down a bit, here it contains all the instructions on how to download and run this locally on your computer. Anyways, if you're interested in reading further, I'll link to this main page in the description below. And that sums up all the highlights in AI this week. Let me know in the comments what you think of all of this. Which piece of news was your favorite, and which tool are you most looking forward to trying out? As always, I will be on the lookout for the top AI news and tools to share with you. So if you enjoyed this video, remember to like, share, subscribe, and stay tuned for more content. Also, there's just so much happening in the world of AI every week. I can't possibly cover everything on my YouTube channel. So to really stay up to date with all that's going on in AI, be sure to subscribe to my free weekly newsletter. The link to that will be in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.